CMPRadio.net. It's the station. CMPRadio.net, the voice of Chester.
Everybody, my name is Donna, also known as Donna Janell, CEO and founder of Parenting with a Purpose. Our strive here at the podcast is to reach every home, whether it's single moms, married, single dads, whatever it is, foster parents, whatever, just bringing the ownership and responsibility and nobility back into parenting. Get comfortable with uncomfortable conversations. All parents need some help and guidance, and I'm just here to be a guide. Hey everybody, welcome to Parenting with a Purpose I'm your host, Donna Janell, where we are here every week at 7 p.m. You know, the theme is to bring the responsibility, nobility, and beauty back into parenting, holding parents accountable for what's going on with our children, also being an advocate and help encourage parents that, you know, it's a hard knock life out here being a parent. It is hard out here, so we're just here to support and bring engaging conversations regarding the parenting. So again, you know, my name is Donna Janell, and before we get into our segment, I kind of want to, you know, I like to come on and talk about a couple things. So just one thing that's just really been burning my heart, and I know the community is burning their heart as well. I want to talk about the two children who were just killed by the Amtrak train that recently just happened over Saturday. It was interesting because I was actually here at the radio station when we were having, you know, a little get together and meeting. And when we left, you know, we didn't know anything was going on. But by the time I got home, it had hit the airways that, you know, there were some kids on the train track, and two of them were killed by Amtrak train. Now, the conversation I want to have is not going to be, you know, everybody's not going to agree with this conversation, but the bigger conversation, you know, we're mourning for the family. We're praying for the family. The kid's name is Jahad Atkinson and Ahir Womack, right? They were 9 and 12 years old. So I was trying to figure out, you know, why are these kids on the train track? And I read an article about 2 days ago, and there was this woman stating that she had got out her car and she saw a bunch of kids on the train track. It's in the papers, it's everywhere. This is her statement. She saw a bunch of kids on the train track, and immediately what she said to them children was, she was like, listen, get off the track. It's not safe. It is not safe to be on there. Get off the track. And you know, the day and age that we live in, most kids do not listen to adults. Most kids don't listen to their parents and never let another adult. Now, I remember a time where, you know, you heard you heard your parents, you heard your neighbors, you know, you heard the people down the street. I grew up in the Bennett Home Projects. I remember Miss Betty. I remember those people we were up on Valentine Terrace. I remember those people that were down the hill. And anybody could say anything to your children, and we would listen. And we didn't like it. Of course, we didn't like it, but we know that if we didn't listen to adults, that by the time we get home, our parents would have got their report, and it would have been worse repercussions. So I noticed this day and time that there's a lot of kids who are not listening to adults. And I hear a lot, oh, you're not my mom, you can't tell me what to do. Most of the time when children say that, it's because their own parents can't tell them what to do. So I witnessed a lot, and I work with children, I work with adolescents, I see a lot of children, and it's not even just the teenagers anymore. I mean, I'm talking 4 or 5 years old. I have a friend who owned a daycare, and some of the kids be like, listen, I'm gonna go tell my mom. Who says that at 3 or 4 years old, right? So that's the bigger question is, why aren't our children listening to adults, understanding that we only want the best for you? Even if you're not my biological child, I still love you. You're a child. I still want to protect you. You're part of my community, right? So that's the question. I feel bad. And the other thing is that there were older kids on this track with these two young kids, right? So then here, my other question is about leadership, right? Because, you have older kids, but yet it's the youngest ones who were hit by a train. And my question is, were the younger kids following the older ones? You would think that, all right, mate, I heard there were like 17, 8-year-olds on this track, but the 9 and 12-year-old were killed. And I had a conversation with my children. My children are 15 and 17 and one's 24. But the 15 and 17-year-olds particularly, they said, well, if they heard the train or if they seen the train, why didn't they move? So I had to explain to them, everybody know what an Amtrak train is, right? Us adults know, kids don't, what an Amtrak train is. By the time you hear an Amtrak train, you're done. By the time you see an Amtrak train, you're done. You're completely done. You're not fast enough, okay? They go by the speed of light. I mean, they could get from Delaware to New York in 28 minutes. What do you think your life is done? So the best thing to do is I encourage parents to talk to your children. Let them know what's safe for them and what's not. Even if they don't want to hear, I want you to ingrain this in their heads so much that when they think about going the wrong thing, because it might not be that big of a deal, just for them to understand it's not safe. And also, if another adult is telling your child something, let your children know, listen, they're trying to keep you safe, they're trying to keep you safe. So again, our hearts is praying for the families, the two children. There's a candlelight tomorrow here in Chester at the park. And my heart goes out to the families, but I want to talk about a bigger issue. Why aren't these kids listening to adults? All right? All right, so tonight, let's switch it up a little bit. I have a guest here. I have Sherman Carson here, sitting here. He's known by Chester. He's a football guy. Everybody know him around. And bigger picture, he my cousin, so, I got to show a little love for him. But the conversation that we're having tonight is raising our siblings, child, or children. As you know, I have 4 children. 2 are biologically mine, 2 aren't. My sister and her husband passed away 9 and 11 years ago. So I'm raising their 2 girls, and Sherman is actually raising his niece as well. So I wanted to start the conversation of, one, the reason why I wanted Sherman on the show is because he's a strong black male, and we hear such a negative narrative behind our black men. Like, they no good, they not taking care of their kids, they not this. But here's a young man who's not only taking care of a child that he is not even biologically his. So not only is he stepping up as a man, but he's stepping up to take care of someone else's child. And I want to applaud you for that, Sherman, because I watched you over the years and, deal with Treasure, and Treasure has some special needs. Yes. So not only that you're raising her, but you're raising her with some challenges as well. Mm-hmm. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right. So let's get a little comfortable here because we got some questions. So just tell us a little bit about yourself. Pretty much, how old are you, if you don't mind sharing your age, what you do for a living, and we'll start with there, and then I'll pop a couple more questions in.
Well, I'm 33. I'm a director at a nursing home. I'm a football coach. I do training too. Just took a job offer in Delaware at high school, so just moving along with my career and just my football career also as coaching.
Okay, so you're a director. So are you college educated?
Of course I am.
Well, listen, you said, of course you are.
Of course I am.
Because, the narrative for black men, that most black men aren't educated, or they may have attended college, but they may not graduate college. So that's why I asked you, of course not, yeah, where we from, we got to do what we got to do. But, so you're college educated. And you have a career. Yes. And okay, so now you keep moving your career forward. You're doing football and you're going to a high school. So you like children. I
do. I like being around them. It makes me feel like I'm a little young too. But then
you are young. You're only 33. you're a little young. But you like being around them. Like, what do you like about children?
I don't know. I like mentoring them. Most importantly, a lot of kids I deal with are from the inner city. So. They don't have the father figure, so they're getting raised by their mother. So you could tell what type of kid they are and what it looks like, and they draw to you. And 9 out of 10, some kids I save lives, honestly. Okay. A lot of kids be in the street, and then when I try to encourage them, hey, use football as a crutch, use it to get you out, use it, get you out of trouble. You know, a lot of their friends are constantly in the street, unfortunately. And, you know, when you're in the street, bad things happen. So I definitely try to mentor them in that, like, hey, stay in the house. You know, hey, you want to go work out? Call me. You know, so that's definitely what I do a lot.
I think that's good. You made a valid point of, you know, like, it's nothing out here in these streets but trouble, you know. And to be able to have an outlet to be able, because we know, you know, even with children staying in the house, a lot of times there are video games and stuff like that. So just giving them, say, listen, even if you want to go outside, you don't want to sit. Not every kid want to do a video game. Exactly. But if you want to go outside, come out with me. Come do some workouts, some getting some extracurricular activity that's going to benefit your life, not hinder you.
Exactly.
So I like that idea. Before we even go into, you know, raising treasure and things like that, let's talk a little bit about you and how you grew up, you know. You know, because you're saying that you're mentoring children who may not have a father and stuff like that. Can we dig a little bit into you growing up with your parents and you know what I mean? You know, I don't want to pry too much. I just know a little bit of your thing, and it's amazing the type of person you have become. But I think that like your story and how, you know, the things that you dealt with growing up with your dad, not your dad, you know, those things. I think a lot of people deal with this. Correct. A lot of people grow up with the dad not in the house, single moms, or just some challenges growing up. I think everybody has a story, and I think that, you know, if I have a story, it's probably 30 more people who have the same story, just may not look the same. So tell me a little bit about you growing up, you know, your parents, your siblings, and all that good stuff.
Well, I was raised with a bunch of women, my mother and my sister. My dad was in and out, but was mostly, you know, lived with my mother and everything. Lived in Chester, moved to Delaware, stayed Delaware for a while. Went to schools down there, everything. But just, you know, my mom was just basically trying to raise me as much as a man as possible she can. Because a lot of women can't raise a boy to be a man, so she tried her best. She did a great job, honestly, because I seen, you know, throughout the years her struggles and everything, and I knew where I wanted to be at and everything, and just, you know, just trying to be the best man I can be, you know, and just learn from mentors I had in my life that I want to be that role model, because that's what they showed me at a young age too.
So although your dad was in and out of the house, you still had men in your life to step up and show you the way.
Correct. So
you knew that, all right, this ain't the way. Let me find another way. So that's good. When you were younger, did you get in any trouble, like on the streets?
Yeah, I definitely got in trouble. A bunch of fighting all the time, hanging around on people all the time. You know, luckily, nothing but God, I didn't really get in trouble. So, and I just learned from my mistakes, basically. Because I seen people go down that line. I ain't want to go down that line.
Like, not you.
Nah, plus my mom didn't play. So I ain't want no parts with that.
Now, was your mom one of those moms that corporal punishment wasn't an issue for her? Like, let's do this, let's discipline. Like, what was her ways of disciplining? Like,
at one point, I was getting my behind whooped every single day for doing something stupid.
Okay.
So yeah, she was very strict on me because she had to, you know, and she knew what. If she wasn't as strict as she was, she knew where I would be at. So, and it helped me a lot, honestly.
I think it's so, you know, parenting, it's so many different type of parenting. And sometimes parents parent out of fear or, you know, just from experience, I think, you know, and as a mom, you know, trying to, like you said, a woman cannot teach a boy to be a man. Listen, my son is 15 now, and I'm telling you, I don't even want that role of teaching him how to be a man, because I'm not a man. Like, how do you teach somebody to be something that you're not? Now, I could teach you how to clean. I could teach you, you know, some other fundamental things about life, but actually, you know, being a man or even just dealing with some million parts, I'm telling you, Joshua, like, this boy come to me with, like, the craziest things, and I'm like, call your dad. Like, nah, but because we have such a great relationship, he's so comfortable with me that he feels like he can spill everything and talk to me, and some of the things I'm just like, and he was like, but Mom, you know, you work with adolescents, you're a pediatric nurse, you know all this, listen. But coming from your mouth, it's just not sitting right. So I know I struggle with making sure that, you know, he doesn't kind of miss out just because his dad is not in the house. You know, now he's at his dad's house more as he's growing because he's older. But I hear what you're saying. It's like mothers try to do that. They protect their son when they do the best, especially, you know, growing up in an area where every other day you hear about a kid getting killed or something bad happening. You know, luckily, thankfully, I don't live in city areas anymore, and that Joshua wasn't exposed to it. But then there's a new different type of thing he exposed to where every color is the Caucasian persuasion, and now I got to deal with that for him. So it's like a different struggle, but it's still struggle raising a boy no matter what. How about, so tell me about how many siblings you have, you know, what was it like growing up in the house with your mom?
So I have two sisters. I have two older sisters. I'm the youngest and the baby of the family. So I was raised with my mom and the middle sister, Christina.
Right.
And just raising up with my mom is just, again, watching her struggle, you know, throughout the years, you know, again, I had to grow up fast, basically. So I had to be the man in the house, you know, so to speak. So I had to make sure everybody's good, make sure my mom's good, you know. And at one time, my mom was like telling me, was like, go outside, go be a kid at one point, you know. So, and I did, you know, and she tried her best, you know, to hide certain things, but I seen it, of course, you know. So.
And your mom had some health issues too along the way,
Yes,
right? So
she had lupus.
She had lupus.
Yes.
So that's a chronic disease. So how is it in the house, you know, with her throughout the years dealing with a chronic disease and her still trying to parent you guys? Like, as a child, like seeing your mom go through stuff, how was that for you?
It was hard. It was really hard because, again, always being in pain and outside the hospital, just seeing her just not one day she's high, next moment she's low. You know, it's hard to see that as a kid. And as a younger kid, you really didn't understand, you know. But when I got older, I just started like understanding, like, okay, you know, she's going to have her bad days and her good days, you know.
Right.
So, but I'm always going to be there for her, just to help her with her bad days and everything. And again, we through the pain and everything, she still made sure she gave me what I want, what I need. You know, give me the emotional support. You know, we used to go out every weekend. You know, when she worked through the week, and she's like, you know, this is our time. Saturday's our time. So we spend the whole day together. So
that's some quality time right there.
Definitely, you know.
I like that because a lot of people think that you have to spend a lot of time, like the quantity. People always look at numbers. You know, numbers is facts, right?
Yes.
So, but the quality time sometimes you can't measure. You can't measure in numbers. You can't. So the only way that you can measure quality is how a person lived their life and the results from it, right? The fruit of the quality time, because you get more fruit with quality than you do, you know, quantity. And a lot of times, you know, some parents think that, you know, let me do A, B, and C, and it's like, nah, that's not what I want. What I want is you to be here spending some time.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard, you know, with parents because there's so many different levels of things that's going on in our society now. But I think, you know, one of the purposes in our parenting is to really be able to be there for our children emotionally, mentally, physically, socially, economically, like all those levels.
Yes.
And in order to be there, you have to be there. You know,
I agree.
So I applaud her for, you know, even though she had her own things going on, but she still took that time out for you.
Yes.
That's good. So let's talk about so your mom passed away.
Yes.
What year? That was about
2015.
In 2015. And prior to your mom passing away, though, she had Treasure, right?
Yes.
You guys, were you living with your mom at that time?
No, I was actually in Jersey. I was in school in Jersey at Rutgers and trying to finish my degree out and everything. And yeah, that's when that happened, when I was up in Jersey.
Right. So your mom was actually raising Treasure prior to her passing, and then you took over, right?
Yes.
So even in her raising Treasure, Treasure is her granddaughter from
Yes.
your sister Christina,
Yes.
who was dealing with some social issues back then, and that's why your mom was raising her, right?
Correct.
Okay, because I think people don't talk about, you know, when we're raising our sibling kids, we don't talk about why we end up raising them or what happened, you know, like what made your mom step up and say, listen, I need to take care of this baby.
So basically, you know, my sister was very unfit. Like she wasn't responsible enough to even take care of another human being, basically. And, when I was in high school, we constantly seen that. And, one day my mom was just fed up with it, and she just took the baby. And it was really not too much fight. It was a fight, but it wasn't enough fight for your child. So me and my mom made an agreement that, we will, both co-parent raising this child.
Wait, how old were you?
15.
You were 15, and you and your mom made an agreement to co-parent. You were 15.
15.
And you and your mom made an agreement to co-parent your niece.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That that thing just brought tears to my eyes. I mean, you was 15. You're that young man.
Yeah.
But what made you agree with your mom though? What?
Because she was just a baby at the time, so it was like, where else you going to go in the system, And at the time, not knowing really what the system was really about,
right.
Now knowing is like that's the worst decision that possibly could happen. So, I grew to care about my niece and everything. So I had no problems, no hesitation. We was upset about it, just for the fact that my sister just
wouldn't do right.
Yeah. And step up to the plate how she should be. But it was fine. We managed everything. And
so babe, you've been a dad since you was 15.
Yeah. Been a very long time.
Yeah, that's why you got some gray hair over there.
Oh yeah, I had to pluck some out before I came here.
Yeah, you've been wow. That's something.
Yes.
That's something. And then your mom transitioned, and then you became a full-time parent, no longer co-parenting. How was that a hard decision, or you just tell me how that went?
It wasn't a hard decision for me to move back down here. It was just the question was when at the time, but I just literally just dropped everything and just made everything speed up the process to getting down here, to making sure. My father actually helped with that process. So my mother passed in December of 2015. Let Treasure finish out the school, and then I took her that summer before I moved back down here.
Okay, so y'all could get used to kind of living together.
So I had her up in my house for the whole summer, put her in summer camp, had her some little tutoring stuff, and then enrolled her in school where I was going to move at. And then that's what we did. And moved down here, and bam, full time.
I think that's awesome. Like, you didn't just snatch her up and said, listen, you got to come with me. Because sometimes, kids have to be abruptly removed and go to a whole nother situation. She was already dealing with the fact that her caregiver, her mom, basically, is no longer here. And then to uproot somebody, I think it's like, there's certain circumstances you really have to, like it's a must. But then we can kind of think about being in our own shoes. Like, what if that happened to me? Yeah. I think that's awesome. So, and then also with Treasure has some challenges.
Correct.
So not only that, she's your niece and, she had just lost your mom, and that you have her now transitioning to your house full time.
Yes.
She go from a woman raising her, right, to this to this Build-A-Bear right here, right? That's a little different.
Definitely is.
So prior to, you've been parenting her since you were 15, so you knew her needs. You knew the special needs that she was having and different things like that. And that still didn't say, nah, you ain't say, nah, I can't do that. That's a lie for a person.
Yeah, because again, where else she's gonna go? In the system, foster home, foster care.
Right.
Still wouldn't. Her life will be a whole 180.
Right. So talk about some of her challenges. Now, is she diagnosed with autism or? So
she was slightly diagnosed with autism. They put it as she has a learning disability in a sense. They didn't really classify it too well, but it's slight autism.
Right.
She, crazy enough, when I got her, they actually put her lower than what she actually was.
They tend to do that.
So I realized that because I went to school for education, so I know how to read an IEP. So when I read through her IEP, when I asked for it, I was like, this doesn't make sense because it was no test. You're supposed to get tested every year.
Right.
And it wasn't happening. So I got her I knew somebody that was going to test her.
Okay.
And it was nowhere where her level was at on paper. She was higher.
Isn't that interesting? Because I know, my sister passed away in 2014. Her husband passed away in 2012. So for 2 years, she was dealing with grief and she was, raising her children. And then when she passed away, and when I received the girls, and like for me, there was no hesitation for me to get them because I didn't want them, when children who both parents are deceased, they're awarded to the state. Like nobody has the right.
Yeah.
Like there's literally nothing. And I after my sister passed away, like I literally the next day went down to the courthouse because a person who I deal with children, adolescents. I'm involved with a lot of youth things, and I know that these children like the state can come snatch them at any time. And what can we do? Then we will have to fight them to get them out of the state. And who wants kids to be in the state, right?
Yeah, and that takes a while.
Yeah, it takes a while. So immediately I went down to the courthouse. Everything is paper. You got to pay. I'm like, I got to pay for my own nieces, but okay. Isn't that crazy? It's like you got to go file it. So once I did that, and but I didn't snatch them out. My older nieces, and was still in the house. But I didn't take them right away. It was a conversation, and they kind of over the summertime gradually. But they were always at my house anyway. I lived around the corner from my sister. But when I got one of them, she was in second grade, and I read her IEP. The reason why I'm saying that, because you talk about these IEPs. I read her IEP, and her IEP literally had her goal was to read a sentence. Yo, I was like, ain't no way. Yeah. Ain't no way. And I was not as sanctified as I am now. Yeah. So that was not the choice of words I used. I was
Definitely.
like, ain't no way. You mean to tell me this is the #1 school district in Delaware, and you mean to tell me that you have this young lady go to read a sentence? So I kind of did radical. I said, scratch the IEP. I don't want it at all. And they thought I was a little crazy, scratch the IEP. But my thing is this, if you start them out low, and then you place them in a classroom where everybody else has the same abilities, where are they going to go?
Growth.
There's no growth. So I was like, the same thing with you. Like, this IEP, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm not doing this. And I end up scratching the IEP and end up teaching her myself. Over the summertime, teaching her how to read, teaching a lot of stuff. So it's funny because maybe so they started school in August. By that February, I was interviewed by the Franklin Covey Company and then designated as a parent leader because the girls literally went from literally not knowing much to honor roll. They went to honor roll and just kept thriving since then. And so they wanted to know how I did it because these people put her down at the low totem pole and said, listen, you ain't about nothing, you ain't going to know nothing, you literally are only going to read a sentence.
Exactly. Yeah, it's trifling.
You know what that reminded me of? I don't know if you're I'm a history buff, right? So it reminded me of when slavery times, right? Where they literally, the masters were penalized if they allowed their slave to read, or if you were found reading, you would be penalized, you would be or whatever. So it's almost like I'm going to keep you low so that you don't know much and don't have to really ask no questions. So I kind of went back to, wait a minute. Now I know that we done went through civil rights. We done do all these rights for we done went all these rights for these kids got education, and not just education where you're stuck in a little schoolhouse. You're just integrated. We got some stuff my kids deserve the same rights as these other kids. And that thing, I swelled up. I was hot. So I understand what you're saying. You wait a minute. So once you realize that this was not treasured, this level that they were trying to put on her and create a narrative for her life, and you was like, nah.
Yeah. I took out the school district. I transferred to a better school district. That I got the person that works for the school district to test her and everything. So, of course, retesting again just to make it more legit. Again, same level. So, and ever since then, I'm all about education. So, we're going to get a tutor. So, I'm going to find out what you're really struggling, and we're going to close them gaps. And that's what we've been doing every year, every semester, closing the gap and getting tutoring, Shoot, I help her with some of her homework or whatever, Even teachers now, like, is actually helping her, because they see that she wants to do the work.
Right.
So, but, Treasure, she wants to do everything fast, like any other kid.
Right.
So, I'm glad that she had the right teachers. Even till today, we're in Chichester School District now. So, where, teachers are, she has good teachers. It's helping her. And we're closing the gap even more.
I think it's important, a couple shows we always talking about, it takes a village to raise children. Like, it really is, like, the school, anybody that you trusted adults to really want to pour into your child and really want to do the work. I like how you said that, but, like, bridging the gaps, bringing it together. I think when teachers know that parents care, I think they step up to the plate even more. Like, if you have a kid who A, B, and C doing all this stuff, and the parent comes up snapping and cursing and all this stuff, really, or not even answering the calls and anything like that, you're like, well, does this kid really kind of have a chance? And then you become almost like mute or numb to the fact that you're seeing this over and over again. But when you have a parent that cares, it shows that when a parent is involved in a child's life, the kid, like, the levels skyrocket. And it doesn't matter, as you can tell with Treasure, is what type of child it is, like what disabilities they're dealing with. Every child is capable of learning.
And the fact that, when I first got her full time and when I read her IEP, and I think it was after I had open house and I seen what type of setting she was in.
Okay.
And I found out what type of kids. It was different type of levels. So when you put a kid that's, I'm just saying, a level 2 and everybody's at level 1, right? Everything's social. Everything you do, what you see around you. And I'm a firm believer of that, and it's no climate. You're not closing no gaps when you're here. Somebody, you're here for behavioral. Then the other person next to you is here for a physical disability.
Right.
That's in a wheelchair or something like can't even talk. What is that doing for the kid? And socially, actually, So when I took her out of class in the district that I put her in, they just put her amongst everybody.
Right.
So it helps her socially also. So, and that helped a lot. And they just pull the kids out of the classroom for whatever extra support that they need. It could be speech, could be reading, math, whatever they need for the extra support. And again, that helped a lot. And just me it took the teachers a little bit to realize who I was, because I knew some things, not saying I knew more than what they did, but I knew some things that I'm not going to let you do that because that's not going to help.
Right.
And I also am active, so I'll email a teacher in a minute. I still do. I still do, because you need to know that I'm actively in my child education, because it's very important in our household, and they understand that. I don't have to email nobody no more. They email me. Yeah. They even got my personal number, and they text me, "Hey, we seen Treasure this, just let you know." Okay, I'll talk to her. Thank you.
Right.
Even their counselor, me and her text all the time, because she sees Treasure, just to give her extra support, socially, just to help her out a little bit, and she'll just tell me, "Hey, just let you know this, and that." Okay, thank you. So we can work on that. So it's very, over the years, good communication with the teachers that she had so far.
I think that's good, because our children are in school, 8 hours a day, right? Some a little longer.
Yeah.
And one time I did a little research thing where I calculated the amount of time that active time that we could spend with our children. Like the amount of active time that we have to invest and impart and instill some things in our children. And I found out that the school spent more time with my child than I did.
Exactly.
Because I was like, so if you run down typical schedule, right? All right, so the kid, we're working parents, right? So the kid gets up at 6 a.m., right? You're getting the kid ready, you getting ready. Y'all talking a little bit while they trying to eat breakfast. Everything is kind of a rush at that time. And then, they get out, they go to school. They are at school from 8 to 3 or something like that, right? then you're probably still at work, right? So then they go maybe perhaps to an after-school program for a couple hours, maybe about 2 hours, if that. And then you pick your kid up, you're back home with them. So now we're looking at about 6:30, right? So it's time for dinner. Right? Whatever work they didn't finish after school, because most of the time, at that time, there was a lot of homework, because back in the day, there was a lot of homework. They don't do that now.
No, they don't.
realize that homework thing is like
doesn't
that.
work.
You got them in school 8 hours, and you still want me to do 2 more hours at home. Like, I'm trying to understand what they did to 8 hours.
Exactly.
So, and then, all right, so that's, you got dinner, 6:30, 7:30. Okay. Now it's time for showers, bed, everything. And then it's bedtime. So then there's not active hours. Now they're asleep because they need at least 8 to 14 hours sleep.
Exactly.
So how much time were you, like seriously, when you break it down, like, so I think that's why, for me, school is so important. I have to trust that you're going to take care of my child when I'm not there, and that you're going to be able to impart and instill things in them that I can't do because I'm working. And not only, you're getting paid to do this.
Exactly.
So this is your job. Like, I go to my job, I'm a nurse, so you trust me to take care of your kids, right? So I'm trusting you to take care of my kids. And we're both getting paid to do it, something that we love. I mean, I love what I do. I'm hoping that you love what you do, right?
That's the hope.
That's that part right there.
Yeah.
I hope that you love what you do enough to take it seriously.
Yeah.
And I think there's such a gap between parenting and teaching, like right now. And it's, and I don't know, I can't blame anybody really, because the way the system is set up, right? The system is set up where most of the classes are overcrowded, right? They're not getting, the teachers aren't getting the tools they need to get to these kids, right? But then the kids are dealing with so much stuff at home, so when they bring to school, the teachers dealing with behavior issues.
Yep.
So it's like where do we begin to
Yeah.
fix the situation? But as a parent, I know that you are necessary. You are important. A parent is so necessary, so important, because we're the leaders of the house. We're the first people that our kids wake up to, and the last person they go to sleep to, right?
Yep.
So if they're waking up to us and we're lovey-dovey and imparting and instilling, that helps them have a better day at school, right? So, and then when they're at the end of the night, if we're still doing the same thing, that helps them have a better night rest, so that they can wake up okay. So I think that one of the biggest things to kind of fix this issue that we're having with a lot of youth is really connecting the parents to the school to really become a real village. Because it's obviously, and it's clear, that's what you've done with Treasure.
Yes.
That they know that, listen, I'm her dad and I'm not playing. And I don't want you playing with my child either.
Exactly. Listen, I know I'll be getting on the nerves, but hey, it's necessary.
Listen, it is so necessary. I remember with my kids, my kids, they call me a mom manager. I don't care, call me what you want. Yeah. But I've emailed those teachers. I show up at the school. I text, like, the same thing, because I think that communication, and if our children know that we care so much about them, that we're communicating their everyday needs, like, it ain't nothing going under my head. Like, I know what you're doing. Yesterday, I had a situation with she'll be 15, actually, in about a week. About 2 weeks. She'll be 15. And a teacher emailed me and told me that, she wasn't turning some assignments in, right? So she was supposed to stay after school that day to volunteer for something, right? And she wanted me to come pick her up at 7 o'clock at night, right? Lord. So at first I agreed with it. I said, okay, yeah, you want to volunteer? I'm all for it. But when I got that email from that teacher, all brakes was on. I text her. I said, I thanked the teacher. I said, I'll follow up. But then I text her. I said, listen, I need you to come straight home from school. She's like, well, I'm volunteering. And I said, no, I need you to come straight home from school. Like, this is through text, right? Because they're not allowed to they go to military school, so they're not allowed to have their phones. So she said, may I ask, what is this concern? May I ask? Because she didn't know she was, because, she didn't know she could ask me, wait, you talking about straight, what, instead of saying, well, wait, what I do? She's like, may I ask, what is this concern? And I said, you didn't turn some assignments. But, Mom, I'm making progress. I'm doing it. I said, listen, to end the conversation, I got an email from your teacher. And she kept texting and going on and on. And I know she was in the bathroom hiding texting so that she could text me because they can't have their phone off. But I had to, as a parent, you have to make those decisions that are uncomfortable, unpopular, but they're necessary, right? Is there times that you had to make a decision that wasn't popular, Treasure wasn't happy, or even people around you might not have been happy because of that decision?
Yeah, definitely. I had to pull Treasure out of track at one point. I told her she couldn't go to practices because of getting assignments. I look at everything every other day basically. Or if I just think about it, I say, oh, let me just check her grades to see what she's turning in and what she has to turn in. She hasn't turned in one time. She didn't turn in 3 assignments, and I did the same thing what you did. Come straight home.
Come straight home.
And her response like, what did I do? You'll find out. We'll talk when you get home. Because I don't like the whole texting thing. Because, you can't tell a person's tone.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, and we sat down and talked. I'm like, and I had my laptop already open. You're missing 3 things. I emailed your teacher. She said she's going to give you half the credit for all 3 of them. You're going to do all 3 of them. I said, you can't go back to track until these are done.
Right.
So, yeah, it was a, fight, I don't have nothing to say. You got to get this done.
Right.
And again, with laptops for me, is like they're always on something else besides what they need to be.
Right.
So I monitor that too. So, kids try to get over certain things, as always. We've done it too. But I always tell her, like, listen, don't think you could be sneaky because I have done this already.
Right. Hello.
So you're not the first person to have done this. So that's what I tell her all the time. But it is uncomfortable, have to discipline your children in that way because, extra things they can do just for fun helps a lot. And again, socially too. Volunteering, doing sports. I didn't want to, but I had to because your academics are more important. Right.
I remember I told this story before. I remember with the same child. She had went. You know how they had like American Idol, American Talent, and all those.
Yes.
But this was for acting. Oh. Right, and it was through New York, LA acting something, right? And there was different levels you have to go through to get to this stage, like competitions pretty much. Mm-hmm. She went all the way through the competition, all the way up. They offered her a trip to come to LA for 2 weeks, and it was like an international performers presentation, right? And they had her set up she was doing modeling as well. They had her set up for modeling. They had her set up for sitcoms, like auditioning for sitcoms and everything. And I was agreed, like she can go. She worked hard for it. She's done acting. She's done all this. And it was just some character things that I just wasn't pleased with. Mm-hmm. Like, I know I raised you better. I know I taught you better. And over time, I kept warning her, listen, you're not going to be able to go if you A, B, and C. And at one point, I finally had to say, listen, you can't go. Mm-hmm. And it hurt me. I literally took a minute to try to make this decision. It hurt my heart so bad because I want her to be able to be out there doing what she want to do. She loves acting, modeling. I want her to do that. But what I had said to her is that, listen, I can't let you go because I'm more concerned about your character. Like, you may be the best at A, B, and C, but if your character can't keep you in the room and people don't want to work with you because of your attitude. And that's what I tell, when I do a lot of parenting coaching, and I tell parents, everybody's like, I want my kid to be an athlete, right? I want my kid to do this because a lot of times it's so we can get out the hood. Mm-hmm. Let's be real. I need you to be able to get us out. We done came from poverty. Somebody in our family got to be the look up, right? Exactly. And we focus so many things on, like, either academics or sports or anything. And I feel like sometimes we're putting the wrong message in our children because you can be the best at whatever you are, but if your attitude and your work ethic and you're disgusting and nasty, who wants to work with you? So I had to pull back. Listen, I don't like your attitude. It's not good enough for me. So I pulled back, and she understood that. At first, she cried and everything. She worked hard for it. But that was an unpopular decision. And as a mom and as a parent, you have to do what you feel will protect your child. And man, imagine I sent her out there in L.A. and she all buck wild. Now, next you know, we got another colored Miley Cyrus on our hands or something. You know
exactly.
What I mean? Like, what's going on? Then you done lost her. Mm-hmm. It's like you sending your kids. I think when we don't discipline our kids appropriately, or we don't give them the tools and technique, we literally are sending our kids out there naked.
Oh, definitely. Unprepared, yeah. Definitely.
Naked. Like, allowing whatever the world has to attach to them. Mm-hmm. And then we wonder why they giving us attitude. because we didn't let everything attack them, right? So I think what you're doing with Treasure is good. And how old is Treasure now?
16.
Ooh, Treasure's 16.
Yeah.
Teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a little gray hair too. I got 3 teens at the same time.
Yeah,
right
you
now.
understand.
Yeah, two 15-year-olds and a 17-year-old at the same time. So I looked in the mirror today when I was driving home from school, and it was like traffic, so it was like 2 hours, and I said, this gray hair, right? So I said, oh man, these gray hairs is coming. And then the one that caused me the most gray hair called me.
Oh.
Mom, can you pick this up? Because she likes to eat. Can you pick this up from the store? Can you? No. And then I just seen more and more gray hairs coming out. But you enjoy parenting?
I do. It's sometimes it can be challenging, is because you want the best out of your kid, and they just don't know the potential, until you instill that into them. And but I enjoy it. It's fun sometimes, most of the time, definitely. Even when your child get a good grade, they get excited still.
Yeah.
So it brings back like little kids like, oh, I got all the words right in the spelling bee or something.
Right, yeah.
So but it's definitely enjoyable. Teenage years are definitely interesting. It brings back memories and like, did I do this when I was here? I'm like, oh, I think I did.
Right.
So, but 9 out of 10, it's fun sometimes,
I enjoy parenting. I love it. Even when I'm like, they make me upset, like, cooking is my love language, right? So they know I'll make a gourmet meal, a homemade meal. Like, I just love doing that. But if I come downstairs, the dish is not done, and you're supposed to do all that. Like, I'm not doing that.
Exactly.
You're not getting. And I'm like, you get some chicken patties out the freezer. Like,
get some chicken fingers and fries.
Yup, some peanut butter and jelly. So, and my kids know when I'm upset when I won't cook. And it just messes them up. But I can't, I'm like, I keep telling you about this kitchen. Like, you the one messing it up. Why I got to clean it up? And, if you don't do your chores like that, for me, it's like, because that's the one thing that I'm going to pull back on. It's like, listen, and you 15, 17, y'all can really figure out your own food. Now, I done made y'all gourmet meals all these years and because I had to cook. And y'all wasn't able to.
Y'all wasn't paying attention.
And now, so cooking is my love language. So now I feel like that's kind of my one up with them, because they love my food. And if I don't cook, they know I'm mad.
Like, is everything okay?
Yeah. They will say, are you okay? Well, I told you 20 times to do this, and I can't cook in a dirty kitchen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I love parenting. Even with that, and then like they make me. They're so funny. Like you can't, like my son. He's an introvert, but when he's home, he's hilarious. Like, he's making me laugh all the time, and I can't be serious around him. Like, I'm so serious trying to tell him, like, listen, I'm gonna need you to do it. He be like, Mom, what's going on? So I'm like, yo, no, I'm so serious right now. I know, but it ain't that deep, Mom. And I'm like, so I laugh when I think about it. Like, I'll be mad for a minute, but then I just laugh. I think children, they just bring. I think God has blessed us so much with children that we're able to literally put an imprint in this world. Like, we get to be a part of raising the now generation, raising leaders now, raising kids that I think about all the times that in these schools, there's so many situations where kids are committing suicide. There's a lot of violence in the schools, right? And if my kid is a kid who's positive, right, can give another kid words so they can want to live, or give something so they can like, nah, you don't need to fight, have them be a light in dark situations. Like, I feel like that's good. I do my job. So it's my job to be their light, and it's their job to be someone else's light. Correct. So I love parenting. Yeah, I used to think I wanted a whole bunch of kids, but teenage years hit, man, nah.
Yeah, that's a different.
Yeah, that's different. Like, it
make
ain't
you
for the
question,
weak.
like,
It's not for, and you still young. You want more kids?
Of course.
Oh, you said that route, of course.
Yeah.
So let's talk about you being a single father, basically, and dating. How does that work? Or
it's working. I'm blessed that I am the person I'm with right now is, accepting it. Because she has a godchild right now.
Okay.
So that she actively raising and everything. So she understands, the trying to change a kid that's not yours life
Right.
into the right direction, because they don't have the right parenting to make them successful. And we have similar goals, when it comes to raising a child. So it's very easy, honestly.
I think that's important. One of the things you just said is similar goals, because
Yes.
everybody parent different, right?
Yes.
People are raised different, it's important that when you're dating or you're seeking a significant other, like they have similar goals to, because if not, you're going to clash the whole time.
Yeah,
It's like,
it
don't
won't
talk to
work.
my kid like this, or you do this and that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, that's it. So how does Treasure respond to her?
Oh, Treasure loves her. Treasure, they talk and everything. She helps a lot, because some conversations me and Treasure can have. Some conversations I don't want to have.
You say, yeah, them conversations, right?
But like before that she came in the picture, me and Treasure were actually having those conversations. It took me a while to focus on the conversation, but I got used to it. I was like, okay, all right, talk to myself a little bit. Try to get the best advice as possible from a man.
Yeah, because you talking
that's
about
hard.
a girl. Like,
That's hard, because these girls out here, these teenage girls they crucial. So
yeah.
I thought
You had to talk about. Oh, you've had her so long. You had to talk about the whole period thing and everything.
yeah,
You're starting to sweat right now talking about it. No,
Yeah.
that's a serious
Yeah,
conversation for a man to have with their daughter.
Yeah, I went on Amazon and got a book that explains certain things. No, seriously. When she was before even she got to that point, there's a book just to help to explain to her, like, your body's changing,
Right.
in so many ways, and we read it together at the time. Like, she was about 13, maybe. Yeah, 12,
Oh wow,
13.
that's good.
So,
You was proactive.
Listen, I had to do something because I knew it was coming.
Right.
And it happened unexpectedly, and yeah. So.
You had an uncomfortable conversation about her period, right?
Yes.
I've had an uncomfortable conversation with my son about his cesarean. Like I had to look up some stuff too. Like what?
Yeah.
I mean, like.
Yeah, it's a lot of Googling.
But I think it's important to come from the home that we educate our children about this, because I don't know if you remember, we used to have health class, right?
Yes.
The health class used to tell us a whole lot of stuff.
Yes.
But the health classes they have these days,
Changed.
it's changed. I know my son, when he was in 5th grade, because they kind of do it differently. He was in 5th grade, and the teacher called me, right? And she said, so Joshua knows a whole lot about the female and the male body. And he's telling me that you taught him this. Because he's passing every test, he answered every question properly. So I said, yeah, I educated my son and my daughters about their body, so that I didn't expect you to educate them about their body if they in my house. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because,
Exactly.
so I think it's so important to educate our children about both genders, because, you're at school, you're playing with a boy, you're 15, you can't be wrestling with little boys these days. Like, yeah, see, right, you have to have that conversation. And then you have to explain why you can't be wrestling with little boys. Because little boys' hormones, they out of control right now.
Yeah, they are.
So
definitely.
it's just those courageous conversations that I think definitely needs to come from the house.
Yes.
And if you don't have, like, you learn, like, you had to get the book. You had a girl, you had to get the book. Me, I had to research, I had a boy, and I think that is so important. What else did I want to talk about? So we talked about the dating thing. We talked about Treasure. This is one of the questions. So with Treasure having disabilities, right? Do you have a plan if something happens to you?
It's crazy. I had a conversation before, and really, I didn't have a plan. Really, still don't have a plan. That was something that I had recently been aware of. Like, I should have a plan because something happened, just a blink in the eye.
Blink in the eye.
So that's something that was brought to my attention. That I did not have a plan, but it's important, and I'm working on that plan.
I think definitely. And so for parents children who are quote unquote don't have any issues or any special needs or anything like that, maybe the family member may take them in or something like that, or but when kids have special needs, it's a different challenge, right? Correct. So I was thinking about, 3 years ago I had 3 strokes. and I'm raising my sister's children as well as mine, right? So, and after that, I'm like, so if something would have happened to me, like what would have happened to my kids? And I'm like, I got a sister, she'll be able to help out. But I thought about what's going on with special needs, like, because I call special needs parents the forever parent, right? Like you're always going to be still raising them, even when they're in their 20s and their 30s, because of the needs. Correct. Now, it's different levels of what you need to do for them, but it's like it's a forever thing.
It is.
So, have you ever thought about it being a forever thing, or?
Yeah, I always, as a parent in general, your kids is definitely going to need you regardless. Dealing with a kid that has some type of disability, you're going to have it's going to be a little extra with it. So. Right. I'm mentally prepared for that, everything that I do, plan, future-wise, is definitely have her in it. So, yeah.
That's good. I know after I had the girls for a couple of years and I put them on my life insurance, and I had you don't have any other children besides Treasure, so having Treasure is like, it's been y'all. But I had 2 other children prior to the girls, right? So now they're coming in. We're a blended family, just a different type of blended family. And but one day what I did was, right, when I did the life insurance and policies and stuff like that, I put it out on the table and showed the girls they have every rights just like my other kids, so that they understand that, listen, this ain't something temporary, like this is permanent. You are my child, and you have every right that my biological kids have. Exactly. So that they know that they're better and know that, listen, they're gonna be taken care of if something happened to me. Yeah. And I think that's an important conversation, even with our children, to knowing that, listen, if something happens to me, you're going to be taken care of. Because sometimes kids worry about that. Like, what's going to happen if something happens to my mom or my dad, And I say that because we didn't expect the girls not to have their moms here, their mom and their dad here. I think that's a conversation that definitely needs to be had. It's like, if something happens to me, you're going to be taken care of. Such and such a person will take care of you. There's some cultures do that already. They have prepared, like other cultures, they prepare, like, listen, Aunt Jeannie going to take care of you if something happened to me. Here's the safe in the closet. Here's all these papers. This is what you take to the bank.
Yeah, they already have it planned out.
Yeah, this is the funeral home. This is the color suit I'm wearing.
Yeah, like everything planned out.
Planned out, just so that everybody's prepared. So I think that's definitely important to figure out, your next steps of what it would look like if you weren't here, how Treasure would be taken care of. Yeah, I think definitely. Any questions for me?
I don't think so.
I certainly thank you for coming. You answered it. I applaud you though, because listen, you're a young black man. Yes. And literally, you have really changed the narrative of our colored men. And particularly even those who are taking care of children that they didn't make. And I think that's, stepping up it's a big step. When you see your sibling or whatever, something's going on, and just being that person. I just applaud you as a man, because, mothers, we have that nurturing, we have that kind of thing. But for a man to say, listen, I'm going to step up to her, she's special needs, and she's a girl, and I'm 15.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely had tapped into something else after that.
Yeah, so, I thank you for coming on here. Thank you for keep doing the good work you're doing, dealing in the community with the football and just trying to be a mentor to kids. You're proof that even though, your dad wasn't always in the house, he was in and out, and you guys have a relationship now, but even though with the absence of a father, you still became a great man.
Yes.
And you had a village to help you do that.
Yes.
So I thank you. I applaud you. Is there anything that you want to tell anybody who's watching who may need to step up in their family, be the man and say, listen, I don't like what's going on with these kids, or anything you want to say to encourage any men out there to step up, not just with their own biological children, but even family members or anything like that? Go ahead. The floor is yours.
We definitely need more role models with our kids. So I would say to men out here, just step up to the plate. You're definitely going to change these young men and young women's lives, honestly, because they need us, both. They need their mothers, they need their fathers, they need some type of male role model in their life to give them the other side of life, basically. And you will see it whole 360, a whole 180, in their lives, definitely, when a male is in a child's life.
All right. Thank you. Okay. All right. So you heard it from here. We have Sherman, and we're Parenting with a Purpose. Join us next week. You know, we're here every Thursday at 7 p.m. And next week, we're going to bring back a guest that we had, Tamara Lally. And this time, we're going to have her other children here talking about what's life like raising Byron all together as a family. So tune in, share, like, and invite next Thursday, 7 p.m. Thank you guys for joining us.